for all women and girls, rights, equality, and empowerment. International Women's Day 2025. The word food springs her into action. Her enthusiasm in learning all about food systems led to this woman becoming a serial entrepreneur. How did you become involved in the food and advocacy world?
It's funny, I thought it was accidental, but I recently did a TED Talk for Spain, and through that, telling my story, I discovered that food has always been part of my life. My parents had backyard gardens. I grew up, my grandfather was in farming, my brother is a farmer. So I think food has always been a part of my experience, my passion. But I think finding a way to build value around food is a very tricky context. So to begin, if I had to start from the beginning, it would be, planting your own food, growing something, cooking it in real time, just after picking it and what that tastes like. Of course, my parents wanted me to go to college, so I did the college track. Luckily, I went to college in New York, so my exposure to food and everything around there was just very exciting and new. Coming back home, I started my business partner, David Thomas. We met in the bank. He's from Las Cavas. We would bring fish and seasoning to our coworkers. And eventually it evolved into just being more excited about fresh ingredients, good food, sharing a meal with someone. And that's how we started the Market Movers. It was, how do we bring food conveniently, the best safe food grown locally to customers everywhere. And that's how it all really came about.
What were some of the challenges you faced along the way?
Challenges in entrepreneurship is one another. There's a lot, obviously. But I think as a woman, starting in 2009 in tech, in agriculture, these are two spaces that are mostly male dominated. It was interesting, but I think we brought a fresh perspective. We, every time we were told we couldn't do something, we would find every angle to do it. So I think the challenges were persons not almost seeing the vision. And I think vision takes sometimes a decade, which is what our business, 16 years, to prove that concept and to prove that, it's applicable. So I think with that doubt, it sort of propelled us into a space to prove, otherwise.
Tell us some of your successes that stand out to you.
And it's going to sound a little cliche, but as a woman, I think one of my biggest successes was being happily married. I think it's a very unique challenge to find a partner, especially a male partner, who can understand your passion and your growth. So those were one of the biggest accomplishments. First, obviously winning Emerging Entrepreneur of the Year 2016 through the TT Chamber, being acknowledged in a space, tech and agriculture, again, that is very new. Winning the Anthony Sabga Awards was just, the most ultimate validation. It's literally the highest entrepreneurship honor that you can receive as an individual in the whole Caribbean. So it really validated those points. But I think seeing our customers from 16 years ago still shopping and their kids shopping, those are some of the biggest successes, seeing that you're able to service through generations.
How do you think we can achieve equality and empowerment and ensure rights for all women and girls?
My brain, how it works is I have to see something to apply it. And when I see women in spaces that I never thought were possible, selling out, sports stadiums, or being in positions of power, being prime ministers or presidents. So I think seeing examples help, especially the younger generation. I looked up to many women growing up, my aunts, any woman in power. And seeing that and then applying it is really important. So I think we need to highlight women in spaces, which is perfect, this interview. But showing persons, I grew up in East Port of Spain, my parents, didn't come from much. And to be able to see a real life example in the Caribbean. So I think showing examples, showing positions, women in positions that were almost impossible, helps the younger generation just sort of envision their future.
Why is it important to celebrate International Women's Day annually?
Celebrating annually creates a culture. In our factory, in our space, food safety, it's a culture and you have to practice it daily. So I think International Women's Day, celebrating it annually, it just sort of reinforces and builds that culture around why we need to celebrate women, seeing women in a different light. And I think that consistency is what's going to bring about a shift in culture, where everyone can see the importance of women in those positions, in those spaces of opportunity. And I think consistency is definitely a way forward in doing that. And of course, we're Caribbean. We love to celebrate. And I think when you have a happy moment with something, it solidifies it really well. We all know if something is negative, there's a different context of that. And I think when you have a positive impact and celebrating in those moments, it sort of creates that culture and that environment to foster, the impossible, which is a young girl from Trinidad and Tobago, growing up in East Port of Spain, accomplishing things that I believed of or dreamed of since I was maybe 10 years old.
For all women and girls, rights, equality, and empowerment, the Office of the Parliament celebrates International Women's Day 2025.